All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Middle Class Reactions. Got a lot to go over today. Like a lot. I'm gonna be putting out probably 4 or 5 videos. Starting off the one with the craziest one. So as of 2 hours ago, some Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota were shot and killed. It was Minnesota Rep. Melissa Hortman as well as her husband Mark Hortman were killed by a gunman impersonating police. Additionally, the suspect also shot Minnesota Senator John Hoffman and his wife, who were both alive. So 4 people shot, 2 killed in a politically motivated assassination. Um, yeah, this was not on the radar. There wasn't any heads up of this. There wasn't any kind of warnings of it. Um, this was what I was afraid was going to see when that Louis Mangione dude shot that United Healthcare CEO. It seems like more people are sadly accepting that as an okay thing to be doing. Unconfirmed reports are saying that he had a bunch of No Kings. The shooter had a bunch of No Kings protests left in the fake police vehicle that he left at the senator's house. Unconfirmed. Um, that would align because I think it was the Melissa Hortman. Yeah, I think it was Minnesota Rep. Melissa Hortman who had recently voted to take away the benefits that go to illegals. But again, that is all suspect at the current moment. None of that is confirmed. We're going to take a look and see what the police are coming out and saying about this. But yeah, this is really a sad time, guys. Whether you agree or disagree with someone's politics, you shouldn't. There should be no assassinations like this.
Time, please. Again, good morning. Police Chief Mark Ruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Portman's house, and it was proactively or not? The circumstances that unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street. When they arrived at Melissa's house, they noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or impersonating a police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So Chief Ruley, janitorial parallel, the person not only was wearing a badge posing as a police officer, when they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Chief Ruley, Adam Duxer with WCCO News. Can you describe the moments after that played out? You said the person went into the home, and then can you help us understand the next 10, 15 minutes of how we got to the point we're at now?
Yeah, briefly, although I'm just going to remind us that this is an absolutely active investigation. We have thousands of people sheltered in place in the city of Brooklyn Park right now. We are in an extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, gridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police. Very briefly, after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
How far apart are the two scenes? About 8 miles?
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 5 or 6 miles apart.
How much do you know about did the person that was impersonating the officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or did the person break into the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
Do you all have the suspect's car?
We do have the suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on. I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claiming to be a police officer, please do a couple things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning 2 officers. So if there's only 1 officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of 2 or more.
Do you know
You
if
guys
the
have
gunman
detained
said
someone?
I'm sorry, one at a time.
Do you know if the gunman said anything, like when he knocked on the door, did he say anything to like Senator Hoffman or anything, you know?
We do know that he did, but I'm going to hold that back as part of the investigation right now.
You guys did detain someone for information? Is that accurate?
This is a very large-scale search, so we have detained several people and questioned them, but we do not have anybody in custody at this time.
I know you may not want to identify that person publicly, but have you privately identified the suspect?
We have people of interest that we are looking for.
Michelle Griffith, Minnesota Reformer. Other than that, these are 2 Democratic lawmakers. Is there anything else to suggest that this is politically motivated?
Again, I'm going to hold back most of the information. This is part of the investigation to get completed. This is rapidly evolving, just occurred a few hours ago, and we're trying to sort it out. We have partners from the FBI, the BCA, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and almost every suburban agency in our community helping us with this. So it's very complex and working on it. What I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary. And that's about, I'll stop there.
Chief, thank you very much. We're going to take one more question.
Sure, with the BCA, can I ask just, you use the word target, and that's kind of along the lines of Michelle's question in terms of politics, Democrats, Republicans. These are both Democratic lawmakers. You said the word targeted, so targeted because they're politicians or targeted because they're Democratic politicians?
So the question is were they targeted, and when I use the term, why am I using the term? As Chief Bruley noted, there was a list of individuals, and the individuals that were targeted in this situation were on that list. And so when we're looking at that, as Chief Bruley said, it's far too early in the investigation to be able to provide information, but I do think we'll be in a position where we'll be able to develop the motivation behind these attacks, and we'll be able to provide more information as this unfolds. And so that's part of the reason we're using it, is I think there's some preliminary information that is telling us kind of where this is headed, but we need a lot more work done by all the teams that are here working on that to be able to provide that with you with a degree of accuracy.
Are you able to say how many individuals were on that list?
Thank you.
There's a rally at the Capitol today. Can you
Okay, guys. So, you know, sounds like whoever did this had it thoroughly planned. It wasn't just some random pop shots, you know, that happened to land. It's sad. Wherever you lean on the political side of stuff, you know, this should never be an answer. You know, 4 people shot, 2 dead, 2 in critical. Stable but critical is the last thing I heard about it. Now, this video is 2 hours old, so I couldn't find any updated information on it. I was looking this morning trying to find new stuff. Nothing confirmed. You know, I'm really afraid, especially going into the weekend, that we might see more of this. So, you know, if you're seeing this, avoid large crowds, stay at home. You know, don't be going out to some of these protests, no matter where you sit politically. Don't be going out to some of this stuff. You know, nothing good's gonna happen. So, everyone, stay safe. Going into this weekend, you know, stay safe. And thanks for tuning in today. Do everything you know you need to, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. So, I'll catch you all on the next one.